Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, thanks to the organizer for having me to share the UOB journey today. I do not profess to have all the answer, but I'm here sharing the journey that we have taken. Some of them are not completed yet, but there are many lessons that we have taken along the way. Now, to understand the story that I'm about to tell, it is important that you understand the context in which we operate in. The first context is about the demographics. This is just like us, when we look at the mirror every day, you do not see yourself aging. But when you look back at your photo 10 years from now, you realize that, those are spots that I did not have 10 years ago. Now, similarly with the workforce, with the demographics that we're looking at, Singapore, the good news is that, has one of the longest life expectancy in the world. On average, we live up to 85 years old. That is the good news. And that has actually moved from 76 years old about a decade ago. But more importantly, the healthy life expectancy, that means when you are mobile, you are able to do a lot of things, that has also gone up. But it has not gone up as fast as the average life expectancy. Today, our healthy life expectancy is at 74 years old. That means most people will fall ill, get disabled, or something will hit them one thing or the other at age of 74. Now, why is this important? This is important especially in the context of a delayed retirement as part of the regulation. So what it means that literally people will work until they drop, right? And if we don't think carefully about this, this could be a problem for some of our employees. So that's trend number one. And there are 26% of the population that are currently above age of 55. Now, the second trend is a shifting of the workforce that we are seeing here. There is a huge imbalances, and we have seen this in many other industries, but more pronounced in the financial services industry. And this has actually driven up the wages. Good news for many of us here, but not so good news in the longer term when it comes to measuring sustainability of some of these wage increases. And based on the recent survey, if you have read the paper, you know that 2 out of 5 Singaporeans have said that they would not consider working for a job that does not allow them to work remotely. Right? That's a huge percentage, and the preferences of the workforce has also shifted. They're looking for a lot more flexibility. And one last important trend that we are observing as well is that of mental health. Right? Today we read a lot about mental health, but this is something that's very real and something that's very personal to me as well. And I've seen this firsthand in my family, and I've also seen this at the workforce. And the increased need to look after mental health at an organization will become more and more pronounced. Then it comes to competition. The boundaries that we used to have for competition, it is blurring. In the past, we compete for talent with other traditional banks. You compare it with local, regional banks, multinational banks. But these days, that's no longer the case. We now have the fintech, but we also have the big tech who are all competing after the same set of resources. So the value proposition which we offer to our potential employees needs to withstand what others are offering as well. Now, last but not least, this is a tech conference after all, and technology is indeed disrupting the financial services. During the pandemic, it has accelerated this disruption, but it also has taught us what are some of the things that we can do differently as well. Now, based on an IBF study, they have predicted that 1 in 3 jobs will be impacted by the automation. And as far as UOB is concerned, we have certainly seen that trend start playing out. Now, in light of these imbalances, one of the things that we have thought of at UOB is how do we address this issue. And this is coupled with the restriction of getting in foreign laborers into the market as well, for good reason. But it does present a real challenges for us. And this is where we start to think hard and to look at something that is close to the values of UOB. And one of them is to stay right by our employee throughout their career and even beyond retirement. This is where we found the sweet spot of gig, but for retiree. And the proposition here is a very clear one once you actually laid it out. From a retiree standpoint, once you retire, what do you look for? You're actually looking for a continued purpose, something to look forward to, a meaning to wake up every morning. You want to work in an environment which you're familiar with and have the flexibility to really enjoy the part of your life, the third act, if you will, at this stage of your career. Now, today, the options that's available for many of our retirees is you either extend working full-time or you choose to retire. That means you exit the workforce immediately. It's a 1 and zeros. So what we are offering here is something of an alternative. Now, as far as our organization is concerned and for the managers, we are able to continue to tap into experienced employees, those with the wisdom to do the work, and they can actually hit the ground running immediately. And this will also allow us to scale up according to time as well. Now, when we actually saw this as an opportunity, we did reach out to many of our retirees to test with them whether they are interested to come back. And a big proportion of them actually voiced that, no, this is something that they are very interested in. Now, before they said that, obviously, many looked at the email and thought it was a scam and sort of rejected those, but so we managed to overcome that. But the point being, there is a huge demand out there to bring the workforce back. And one of the value proposition which will offer our retiree workers is that while they are back, we also look after their health benefits. And this is one of the most important value proposition that you can provide to someone at this stage. Now, one of the other things that we have been observing very closely in the changes in our workforce is the skills mismatch is getting more and more prominent. Because as different parts of the bank go through automation and implement digitization, you realize that certain skill sets are required to make the change. But reskilling is easier said than done. Many of you who have attempted to do so, you understand some of those challenges. Now, the first challenge is that what exactly are you going to reskill the employee towards? Second, when are you going to reskill? Because not all the jobs are going to become obsolete immediately. I will share with you that at UOB, even some of our operation jobs, the jobs in channels that we have predicted may actually go away in the future, we are still hiring because there are attrition and you still need to hire. So where is the need? Where are the needs for us to do the need to reskill? So it's very important to identify that. Now, therefore, when we first launched our program called Better You, and it is a bank-wide reskilling program, we needed to address this issue. And for the very first phase itself, what we wanted to do was to fertilize the ground, to make sure that people are ready for reskilling when the time comes. Within this first phase itself, we focus on 5 areas which are softer in nature, if you will. The very first one is on growth mindset. It is an experiential learning. We put our employee through a physical, in-person training where they will actually discover that they have the capacity to learn no matter at what age they are at, and that the need to reskill is there. And that's the very first module itself, which is on growth mindset. Then we taught them about problem solving. Now, this is a skill set you can use today in your current job, but it's also important if you want to transition to another job. Because at the end of the day, what we do at work, we're actually solving problems. It's just problems in different areas. And if you can fine-tune your skills with structure, then you are able to do so in a more structured manner. The third area that we look at is to inform them about the digital disruption that's happening in the market. This is to raise the urgency and also to inform them about where are the areas that potentially they might be interested to develop their skill sets. And the fourth area is focused on human-centered design. One of the things that I mentioned in the past is that if we work like a machine, we're going to be replaced by the machine. So one of the differentiation for human to continue to stay relevant is to apply human-centered design in the way we work, to have the empathy of customers' experience as well as employee experience in the case of HR. And last but not least, you can come up with the best solution, but in many organizations, if you're not able to present your ideas, you're not able to share, you're always being viewed a little bit inferior. So the ability to tell a story, and in this case, data storytelling, is an important skill that we have imparted on our employees. We did this across the entire group of 25,000 employees. When we did the first phase, we make it compulsory for everyone to attend the reskilling, the one-day in-person training, but you cannot force them to complete it because this is actually run over a period of 1 month. The subsequent training were done virtually. So what we did was that we dangle a carrot at the end of the training. If you successfully complete this and you have actually passed through the test, we gave them an extra day of annual leave, right, as an incentive to go through this. Now, that is the first step, which is for us to fertilize the ground. But subsequent to that, you cannot force employee to go through training anymore. But you have created the awareness and you have created the need. And in our phase 2, this is where we started our deep dive in areas such as project management and data analytics, where they are now committing more time and taking up courses with our partner institution to complete courses that they can actually stack over time. And it can be stacked into a degree, it can be stacked into a master eventually. And this phase is designed to be a plug and play. It means these are not the only two, but we can actually insert other areas where we deem fit as we see how the disruption is actually happening across the group. And in the third phase, this is where we are trying to address the holy grail of reskilling. That is career pivoting. Career pivoting is where an individual will switch from the current job to something else. Today, you see a lot of enhancement of job, but you don't see a big shift. How are we doing so? We needed to provide a bit of a help. We created an internal marketplace, but we also gave the incentive for manager to try out our existing employee and also de-risk for existing employee to take some risk as they switch the job, right? So these are some of the things that you do in a very deliberate fashion in order to prepare them for the future. Now, very briefly, let me touch on the one of the things that we have done for our talent. Now, just like many talent programs out there, UOB, we have our own talent program called Leadership Acceleration Program. This is actually designed to accelerate the career, accelerate the development of our top talent, stretch assignments, rotation, in-country, out-country, exposure to senior management, what have you. Quite standard. Where it is not standard is that for us, this is a platform that is designed after an escalator, if you will. We are giving the option for employee to step on and step off the escalator depending on the different life stages that they are at, right? When you're young, you're single, for you, career growth is something most important. You want to move fast and you want to be stretched in many assignments. And we provide that. You're on the escalator, you're moving faster, but the demand for you is also a lot more. But at some stage in your career, you may need to take a little bit of a break. For example, you might get a baby and you want to spend some time because you don't want to miss out child. You can step out from the escalator and take a pause and take the staircase while you attend to your personal priority. And at the right time, you can raise your hand to say, I want to get back on the escalator. So it becomes an inclusive talent management program that we can cater to the different needs of the employee. And the reason for doing so is because we fundamentally believe, at the end of the day, to maintain a sustainable workforce, we need two components. A lot of people have talked about purpose, right? And purpose is definitely very important. But the other main component is balance. If you look at the healthcare industry today, it is no shortage of purpose, especially during the COVID time. Many of them actually work through night and day and risking their lives to actually perform a very important role. But recently, you have read that many have actually left the industry, right, because of burnout. So purpose alone without balance is not sustainable. You have balance alone without purpose. Unfortunately, it's all about work-life balance, but you don't get much done. So these two combination is extremely important to deliver what we need to deliver. And this program is aimed to deliver for at least this group of people, but we also apply the same philosophy broader in the organization as well. Now, if there's any key takeaway from my presentation today, I will leave you with 3 thoughts. The first one is that I've often been asked, how do you justify an investment on your employee when attrition is so high in the market? And the answer is, you need to invest as if the employee would stay. If you are starting to think and double guess whether the person will stay or not, then you would actually not be taking on a lot of the things that you do. But there are many benefits that you're not able to quantify immediately with the individual employee. You'll make your value proposition stronger, but you also send a signal to the other employees as well that, no, we actually care for that development. And some of the employees who leave us, and I have some of them in the room here, may actually rejoin us at some stage in the future as well. A second key takeaway is that we need to reassess the definition of the workforce. In the past, workforce is, especially in the financial services, we have a very strict definition. Full-time employees, because there's a lot of regulation involved, therefore, we are quite restricted to who we will consider employees and what we will provide access to. But throughout the pandemic, we have been working from home, we have been testing the various system and the security. We realized that we can be a lot more flexible than what we used to be. And therefore, through the experience, we also know which of the jobs are gigable and which of the jobs which are not. And therefore, with this experience, we are now equipped to go out to the market and redefine who we can consider as employee. And that means removing boundaries of borders. It also means removing boundaries of physically, as well as from a time standpoint, the need to be in the office. And my last key takeaway for you is that balance is something that's very important, and that's not only something that we'll create just at the workforce, but as individuals, all of us need to live a balanced life. Time is passing by very quickly. Before you know it, we are also hitting the end of the road. Therefore, providing the balance to treat employee as a human being, that there's more than work to life, is very important and a differentiator in the world today. For UOB, we know that we will not out-tech the tech companies, but what we can do is to out-care the companies out there. Thank you very much.